1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse number 21 says, "Test all things, hold fast that which is good." How do we do that? And furthermore, why do we do that? Welcome to this, Your Daily 180 Bible Study. We're talking about the joy of faithfulness. We're looking at lessons from the book of 1 John, a marvelous little book in your New Testament. And today we're going to be talking about the idea of practicing the truth. Now, if we're going to practice the truth, then it requires us to do what we're told in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse number 21. Test all things. In the King James Version, we're told, prove all things. In other words, we've got to put it to the test. Is this really right? I mean, you might hear your preacher say, who knows what? Put him to the test. Hold his feet to the fire. Hold my feet to the fire. Make sure that the things that I'm saying are consistent with Scripture. Well, as we look at 1 John chapter 4 and verse number 1, we see this idea. Here he says, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world." In other words, someone says, you don't have to be baptized to be saved. Oh, really? Then how do you explain Acts 2:38? And how do you explain Acts 8 and verse 36 and following? And how do you explain Acts 22 and verse number 16? And how do you explain 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse number 21? How do you explain Galatians chapter 3 and verse number 27? You see, we need to deal with it and test what someone's saying. Well, notice what he says down in verse number 5. Talking about these false teachers. They are of the world, therefore they speak as the world, and the world hears them. Oh, I like what they're saying. Some preacher says, oh, you can't fall from grace. Once you're saved, you can never be lost. That sounds great, doesn't it? Except one thing, it's not true. Well, how would I know what's true? Look at verse number 6. He's talking about the apostles, we are of God. He who knows God hears us. The apostles, the New Testament. He who is not of God does not hear us. If you're not willing to go to the New Testament, listen to the apostolic writers and listen to what they have to say, you're not listening to God. And it's impossible for you to be able to prove all things and hold fast that which is good. Listen, hold me accountable for the things I say. Check it out. And do the same thing with those whom you're listening to your preachers. Join us again tomorrow.